Good morning. Shree's here with Fashionably Adorned. And this morning, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I'm not feeling very inspired, I've been struggling. Well, who hasn't been struggling, right now with the way the world is and everything going on? So right there, I want you just to take a minute, give yourself a little compassion and love, because it's hard times right now, uncertain times. It's just stressful and anxiety producing all on its own, just life right now. So my little morning ritual that I like to do when I'm not feeling very motivated or very creative, or I'm not working on a project, or I'm doing something customs where I just kind of need to get out of my head. Sometimes with those, I will watch videos. I do it for fitness, anything when I need motivation. Motivation doesn't come before the act. Motivation comes when you're doing the act. That's my personal opinion on it. So I will go in, I will make my coffee. Cheers, good morning. And I will go in my bedroom. I will connect my TV to my phone, and I will go to YouTube, and I will look for whatever it is. If I'm want to do some smithing, I will look for some how-to videos just to get my creative juices flowing, get the ideas flowing. So that's what I did this morning, and I found a girl. Her name is Leslie Curvelia. I'm gonna slaughter the last name. If you're in jewelry making or silversmithing, you probably know her or have heard of her. She has been doing it for a really long time. Anyway, she has a website, as a lot of other smiths do, and she has some classes on there I have not checked out yet. I'm going to. She had a couple of free ones. But this video that I watched today was on her and this guy from Tucker Tools, the guy Tucker, I forget what his first name was, from the Tucker Tools, and they were doing this really cool boho cuff. So I was watching that today, and I actually had a few little takeaways that I just wanted to share. So first off, being self-taught is always a struggle normally. I end up having to do things 3 or 4 or 5 times sometimes, instead of maybe 2 or 3 times if you were taught in a classroom or taking a class. I waste a lot of, I don't like that word, change my word. I go through a lot of silver. Thank God I can send it in to Rio, and I can get money recouped from the scraps, the things that I send in from them, because I'm doing things and I'm learning as I'm going. Real quick, just recently, I have a custom bee pendant I'm working on, and I got the first one finished. I freaking hated it. I had some solder flow where I didn't want it to flow, and the stone was a little bit loose. It wouldn't have fallen out, but it was a little loose, and it just was a piece I just didn't feel comfortable putting out. And as a custom, especially, it wasn't the quality of work I wanted to put out. So I ended up taking the stone out, scrapping it, starting over. I'm a lot happier now with the second piece because it's a little easier for me because I've already done it once. So so anyway, takes a lot longer to learn things and to do techniques. And a lot of times I'm really visual, hands-on learner, like I think most artists are. And so when I see something, I'm like, oh, that makes way more sense. But if I have to figure it out for myself, it takes forever. Like for my brain to conceptually try to figure out how to do that or how to make that. So in this video that I watched today, I have 3 takeaways. My first takeaway was I need to not be so hard on myself because I am doing the right things. It was really interesting to see her. I like to make bigger pieces and bigger cuffs, and I like to sweat solder multiple sheets of silver and things. So the more metal you have, the more heat you need to have. So even when you're using easy solder, sometimes it takes a while. And that's what she was doing in this video. And there's a point where when I'm doing that, where I get frustrated and I'm like, why isn't my solder flowing? What's going on with my heat? And I'm using a new torch. I just got a propane oxy Little Smith torch setup. So that's fairly new to me. I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, or a month or month and a half or whatever. And so I'm kind of understanding a little bit of it, the heat and stuff. But sometimes I think is it my heat? Is it, you know, what am I doing wrong, basically? And I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, it took her a really long time to heat this piece of, you know, she's doing a cuff, a wide cuff with 18 gauge, and she's got multiple layers of silver on there. So, you know, it's taking time. So, I've learned that it does take time, even with easy solder when you're a bigger piece. So I'm not doing anything wrong. I just need to breathe and be patient and be at ease and not have these expectations of a time of how it should be being done. Like, if it's not happening quick enough for me, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So I need to stop that. Second thing I learned was freaking yellow ochre. Why? How do I not know about this? Well, because I'm self-taught, so I get it. But like, holy shit! Now it's going to be so much easier. So if you're not aware, yellow ochre is where it won't. You put it on. It's a powder, and you mix it with water and make a paste, and then you brush it on anything you don't want solder to flow. So when you're sweat soldering or you're soldering little things on that it's sometimes you can't help that. So now I'm going to get some of that, and it'll be super awesome to be able to put that on where I don't want that other solder to flow, which I've already melted on there and soldered on there. So really super excited about that. And so that was the second takeaway that I got. And my third takeaway was, you know, they were doing a lot of bump out stamps, making 3D stamping pieces, poncho pieces and stuff to like go on this bracelet. And the guy who was doing it is the man who makes the stamps, and he's obviously been doing this for years and years and years. And he even made some mess ups. He had some missed stamps and things like that. So like, I have to just give myself grace and not be so hard on myself to be like, why isn't this perfect the very first time? Or am I not hitting it hard enough? It should the very first time, and, you know, things like that. And no, it's going to take you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times of hitting the metal, and always anneal your metal when you're stamping. That's a big one I'm learning. Annealing. When in doubt, anneal it. So as Ringgold Nicole says. So anyways, that, you know, that it's a time. It's like I said, I tend to be like, if it's not happening fast enough for me, then I'm frustrated, and I have to that's something I'm working on with myself, is just taking a step back, being at ease. Everything has its time, and I'm just a pretty quick person. I'm pretty buzzy, so I'm, you know, I want things to be done. You know, I'm one of those people, like in the grocery store, get out of my way or I might run you over with my cart, because I don't want to just lollygag along. That's just how I am. So that, and then the other really cool tip that I learned too, so I guess I had 4 things I took away, was that if you have a missed stamp, you can melt some hard solder in those areas, and then make sure that you sand it all down nice and flush, and then, you know, you can put that yellow ochre over top of it when you're doing your other soldering, so that the solder won't flow out of those areas or whatever. So I thought that was a really cool tip to kind of cover up some of the things. And the other thing, I guess, so now we're on number 5 takeaways. It's like, as you start to talk, more things come out. The guy did this whole thing that they were doing on copper first. So he made his whole thing on copper first before he started it on silver, which I really need to start doing that. Again, I have to change my thinking in my mind. Instead of feeling like this is a waste of time, I have to change that thinking to, no, this is a necessity to make my really expensive silver sheet look stellar and beautiful, and not to have the screw ups on it, even though we're all human, and I probably will. I mean, on the video I watched on the silver 18 gauge silver cup she was doing, he had done a few stamps and he misstamped. He grabbed the wrong stamp twice, and that was what they did. The fix was they put the solder in there. So even this gentleman who is a stamp maker, he has a business, he's been doing this probably well over 30 plus years, you know, he still isn't perfect, and he still has misstamps. And so so my point basically is, don't be hard on yourself. Watch videos, take classes. If you are self-taught and you're struggling, that's another big thing for me. I feel like, well, I've learned everything up to this point on my own. Why do I need to take a class? And I've just come to the realization, like, I'm tired of struggling sometimes, and I just want to make my life easier. And so if someone else can teach me something, then I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. Just like eventually I want to be able to teach others how to do what I'm doing now. So I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're self-taught, which a lot of smiths are self-taught. In fact, I don't know if it's just because I am, and so that's the tribe that I attract, but most of the people in my smithing circle are self-taught smiths. So I know that if I struggle with these things, you guys probably struggle with these things, and I just wanted to come on here and say, you know what, take a breath, make it easy for yourself, and don't stress and don't beat yourself up. Okay, so the video was on YouTube, and it was how to make a boho cuff with something Tucker. I forget the guy's name. I'll try to put a link in the description, but Instagram doesn't really do that, like live links. So, but I can at least put it on there, so maybe I'll put a picture or something so you guys can find it on YouTube. All right, have a great day.